Hollywood gave them fame, fortune, and lives most people could only dream of. Then everything collapsed. Addiction, reckless spending, mental illness, and cruel twists of fate left former icons sleeping in cars, motels, and even behind dumpsters. Some fought their way back. Others vanished into tragedy. These are the stars who lost it all. Number 1. Lonnie Willison. Lonnie Willison once seemed to have the perfect California life. She was a successful fitness model, appeared on magazine covers, and married Baywatch actor Jeremy Jackson. With her athletic figure, glamorous career, and famous husband, she looked like someone who had won the Hollywood lottery. But behind the photographs, her dream life was quietly turning into a nightmare. After the marriage collapsed, Lonnie accused Jackson of abuse and claimed he had once tried to strangle her. Her career disappeared, addiction tightened its grip, and her mental health rapidly deteriorated. Before long, the former model was living on the streets of Venice Beach, pushing her belongings in a shopping cart and looking almost unrecognizable. Hollywood had once dressed her for magazine covers. Now, survival was her full-time job. Even more troubling, Lonnie insisted she could not live indoors because electricity was attacking her body. She claimed batteries, wires, fuses, and certain metals caused unbearable reactions, making shelters and apartments feel dangerous. Whether those fears came from trauma, addiction, or untreated illness, one thing was undeniable: she desperately needed compassion, not ridicule. Number 2. MC Hammer. MC Hammer was not just a rapper, he was a full-blown cultural explosion. With "You Can't Touch This" parachute pants that looked ready for takeoff and dance moves that made everyone else feel painfully uncoordinated. Hammer ruled the early 1990s. Money poured in by the millions, and he spent it even faster. He reportedly poured around $30 million into a massive mansion, bought 17 cars, 2 helicopters, a private jet, racehorses, and employed more than 200 people. It was less like a household and more like a small country with a dance budget. But when music trends changed, the checks slowed down while the spending kept moving at full speed. Soon, Hammer was buried under millions in debt and hundreds of thousands in unpaid taxes. He was forced to sell the mansion, the luxury toys, and nearly everything else. Yet unlike many stars on this list, Hammer refused to stay broken. He rebuilt his life, moved into a modest home, organized concerts, and reinvented himself as a businessman and investor. Number 3. Margot Kidder. To millions of fans, Margot Kidder was Lois Lane, the fearless reporter who could chase dangerous stories, challenge villains, and somehow survive every disaster Superman brought into her life. But in 1996, Margot faced an enemy no superhero could defeat with strength alone. During a severe manic episode caused by undiagnosed bipolar disorder, the Hollywood star disappeared into the streets of Los Angeles. She was later found confused, missing teeth, hiding behind bushes, asking strangers for cigarettes, and sleeping in cardboard boxes. It was a shocking fall for a woman who had once stood beside movie legends and powerful political figures. This was definitely not the fortress of solitude she had imagined. Fortunately, her story did not end on the sidewalk. Her family and authorities helped her receive psychiatric treatment, and Margot slowly rebuilt her life. Instead of hiding her darkest chapter, she became a passionate mental health advocate, reminding the world that homelessness and psychological illness can happen to anyone. She crashed harder than most, but like a true hero, she found the courage to rise again. Number 4. Erin Moran. Erin Moran was once America's favorite little sister. As Joni Cunningham on Happy Days, she had fame, money, and a permanent place in television history. But when the cameras stopped rolling, the happy days disappeared fast. By 2010, her fortune was gone. Her California home was lost, and the former primetime princess was forced to move into a small Indiana trailer with her husband and his elderly mother. That arrangement soon exploded after Erin reportedly came home drunk and got into a bitter argument with her mother-in-law. She was thrown out, leaving a woman once welcomed into millions of living rooms without a home of her own. Erin began drifting between cheap roadside motels where fans barely recognized the exhausted former star. Hollywood had given her a spotlight, but apparently forgot to include a retirement plan. When Erin died in 2017, rumors quickly blamed a heroin overdose. The truth was even more heartbreaking. She had been battling advanced throat cancer. She passed away at only 56, financially broken, and largely forgotten by the industry that once celebrated her. Erin Moran's story is a painful reminder that fame can make someone feel immortal. But when the applause fades, even beloved stars can be left completely alone. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment with the number 1. If you didn't enjoy it, comment 0 instead. Don't worry, I can handle it. Number 5. Dana Plato. Dana Plato became a television star at just 14, playing Kimberly Drummond on Different Strokes. To millions of viewers, she was the sweet, polished teenager living inside a perfect sitcom family. But behind that cheerful image, Dana was already struggling with drugs, and once the show ended, the stability surrounding her disappeared almost overnight. Her life quickly turned into the kind of Hollywood nightmare no studio would dare put in primetime. Addiction took control, leading to arrests for forging prescriptions and even robbing a video store in 1991. Yes, a former television sweetheart actually held up a video store, a scene so bizarre it almost sounds like dark comedy. But there was nothing funny about what followed: jail, repeated rehab attempts, financial ruin, and years spent drifting between cheap Oklahoma motels with no permanent home. In 1999, Dana appeared on The Howard Stern Show, insisting that she was sober. Instead of compassion, she faced callers who mocked her and questioned every word she said. Less than 24 hours later, she died from an overdose. Dana Plato was only 34. Number 6. Ray Williams. Ray Williams once lived the dream every young basketball player imagines. He became captain of the New York Knicks, competed alongside NBA legends, and played a major role during Boston's 1985 finals run. Under the arena lights, he looked unstoppable. But when the cheering stopped, his life took a turn no scoreboard could explain. After retiring, Williams struggled to find steady work and eventually filed for bankruptcy. By 2010, the former NBA star was discovered sleeping inside his Buick in Pompano Beach, Florida. No mansion, no luxury hotel, just a car serving as his bedroom kitchen and painfully cramped retirement plan. Unlike many fallen athletes, his collapse was not blamed on gambling or wild parties. It was a brutal combination of financial trouble, limited opportunities, and a system that seemed to forget him. Williams openly criticized the NBA for preaching loyalty while offering little compassion to retired players in crisis. He tried several jobs, but stability remained out of reach. In 2013, he died from colon cancer, leaving behind one of professional basketball's most heartbreaking stories. Ray Williams once commanded packed arenas, yet ended up fighting for survival almost alone. A reminder that when the final buzzer sounds, even celebrated, athletes can disappear from public memory. Number 7. Bobby Driscoll. Imagine becoming one of Disney's brightest young stars, only to end up dying alone in an abandoned building with no one even knowing your name. That heartbreaking fate belonged to Bobby Driscoll. In the late 1940s and early 1950s, Bobby was the golden child of Hollywood, winning a special Academy Award and lending his voice to Disney's beloved Peter Pan. Studios couldn't get enough of him, and audiences adored the cheerful boy who seemed destined for a lifetime of success. But in Hollywood, childhood fame often comes with an expiration date. As Bobby grew older, the offers vanished almost overnight. The industry that once celebrated him suddenly acted as if he never existed. Struggling with rejection, he turned to heroin, drifted into crime, and eventually served time in prison. After his release, there were no producers waiting with scripts, no red carpets, and certainly no fairy godmother waving a magic wand. Bobby later admitted, "I became a beatnik and a bum. I had no residence. I didn't live anywhere." Those words perfectly captured just how completely Hollywood had abandoned one of its own. Then came the ending no Disney movie would ever dare write. In 1968, 2 children discovered Bobby's body inside an abandoned New York apartment building. He carried no identification, and because nobody recognized him, he was buried in a pauper's grave on Hart Island. The world didn't even realize the former Disney icon was gone until years later, when reporters tried to track him down. Number 8. Aaron Barkley. Winning world titles is supposed to guarantee a lifetime of comfort, unless you're Aaron Barkley. The fearless boxer earned millions during his legendary career, battled some of the toughest names in the sport, and stood proudly as a 3-time world champion. But when the final bell rang on his career life, hit him harder than any opponent ever could. Unlike many fallen athletes, Barkley didn't lose everything to drugs or gambling. Instead, poor financial decisions and reckless spending slowly drained the fortune he had fought so hard to earn until there was nothing left. Before long, the former champion was sleeping in subway cars, cheap motels, and anywhere he could find shelter. Imagine riding the train beside a man who once packed arenas with cheering fans. His own niece eventually gave him a place to stay, but even that couldn't last forever. It seemed like one of boxing's toughest warriors had finally been counted out. Thankfully, this story didn't end on the canvas. With help from nonprofit organizations dedicated to retired fighters, Barkley found stable housing and rebuilt his life. Today, he mentors young boxers, proving that a true champion isn't defined by how many belts he wins, but by how many times he gets back up after life knocks him down. Number 9. Natasha Lyonne. If Hollywood handed out awards for unbelievable comebacks, Natasha Lyonne would deserve a standing ovation. During the late 90s, she seemed unstoppable, stealing scenes in American Pie and becoming one of the coolest actresses of her generation. But behind the sarcastic smile, addiction was quietly taking over. By the early 2000s, her career had collapsed. She was arrested for DU. I reportedly lost her apartment, drifted into homelessness, and became so seriously ill that she was hospitalized with a collapsed lung, hepatitis C, and a life-threatening heart infection. It looked like another heartbreaking Hollywood ending. But Natasha refused to stay down. She fought through rehab, rebuilt her health, and slowly earned back the industry's respect. Then came the ultimate plot twist. She returned stronger than ever, starring in Orange is the New Black, creating the critically acclaimed Russian Doll, and later leading the hit mystery series Poker Face. Number 10. Danny Bonaduce. Danny Bonaduce looked like he had the perfect Hollywood life. As the wisecracking redhead on The Partridge Family, he became one of television's biggest child stars, earning fame money and millions of fans. But once the cameras stopped rolling, reality delivered a plot twist no sitcom writer could invent. Addiction slowly took control, his finances crumbled, and before long, Danny was homeless, living in his car behind the famous TCL Chinese Theater. Ironically, tourists still recognized him, asked for autographs, snapped selfies, and walked away without realizing the celebrity they had just met had nowhere to sleep that night. Danny later joked that people loved taking pictures with him while he was literally living behind a dumpster. Funny on the surface, but painfully heartbreaking underneath. Refusing to let that become the end of his story, he fought his way back, reinventing himself as a successful radio host and rebuilding both his career and personal life. Even after being diagnosed with a serious neurological disorder and undergoing brain surgery, Danny never stopped battling. Number 11. John Michael Vincent. John Michael Vincent once looked like Hollywood had carved him out of pure sunlight. With movie star looks, a surfer's body, and the leading role in Airwolf, he became one of television's most recognizable action heroes. But off-screen, his life was less high-flying adventure and more slow-motion disaster. Between the late 1970s and the years that followed, Vincent collected cocaine arrests, DUI charges, bar fights, and assault allegations. He did not just party hard, he crashed hard, literally. A series of alcohol-related accidents left him with broken bones, permanent injuries, and eventually, the loss of his right leg. The man who once flew across television screens was later forced to rely on a prosthetic leg or wheelchair. Addiction took nearly everything: his career, his fortune, his health, and eventually, his home. At one point, Vincent was reportedly drifting through rural Mississippi and North Carolina, far from the red carpets that once celebrated him. By the time he died at 74, he had become a nearly forgotten figure from another era. Number 12. Leif Garrett. Leif Garrett was the kind of teen idol who seemed designed in a Hollywood laboratory: perfect hair, a $1 million smile, and a face printed on bedroom walls across America. By the late 1970s, he had fame, money, music, movies, and screaming fans. But behind that polished image, Garrett had already started using drugs at only 14, and the dream was quietly turning dangerous. Just before his 18th birthday, he crashed his mother's Porsche while driving under the influence of cocaine and alcohol. The accident left his best friend paralyzed for life. It should have been the ultimate wake-up call, but addiction kept dragging Garrett deeper. As his career disappeared, arrests failed rehab attempts, and financial problems replaced the magazine covers. By 2001, he filed for bankruptcy with only a few personal belongings, about $350 in cash, and monthly support from his mother. At one point, Sharon Osbourne even joked that Garrett was living under a bridge, a brutal punchline for someone who had once been treated like royalty. Whether literally true or not, the message was clear: the teen dream had collapsed. Leif Garrett's story is heartbreaking because he had everything so young, yet never learned how to survive when the applause stopped. Fame made him a star, but addiction nearly erased the person underneath. Number 13. Mindy McCready. Mindy McCready once looked like country music's next unstoppable queen. Her powerful voice, chart-topping songs, and bright stage presence made her a rising star with the world at her feet. But behind the glittering costumes and roaring crowds, her private life was quietly collapsing under addiction, legal trouble, broken relationships, and emotional pain no hit song could silence. Her struggles became painfully public. Mindy faced arrests, court-ordered rehabilitation custody battles, and repeated attempts to rebuild a life that kept falling apart. Hollywood loves a comeback story, but it rarely shows the exhausting chapters between the breakdown and the applause. Each time she tried to stand again, another crisis seemed to knock her back down. Then came the devastating death of her boyfriend, a loss that pushed her deeper into grief. Just 1 month later, Mindy was found dead in the same place, overwhelmed by the pain surrounding her life and the battle over her 2 children. She was only 37. Her story is not simply about fame gone wrong. It is about a woman who kept fighting while carrying more pain than the public could see. Mindy McCready's voice once filled arenas, but her final silence became the most heartbreaking part of her story. Which story broke your heart the most? Lonnie Willison, Brett Butler, or John Michael Vincent? Let us know in the comments. Number 14. David Cassidy. David Cassidy was the ultimate 1970s teen idol. His face covered bedroom walls, his concerts packed stadiums, and the Partridge Family turned him into a household name. To millions of fans, he was the smiling heartthrob, living a perfect television dream. But behind that clean-cut image, Cassidy was fighting a private war with alcohol, broken relationships, and a career slowly slipping away. As the spotlight faded, the trouble became impossible to hide. In 2010, he was arrested for driving under the influence. More DUI arrests followed in 2013 and 2014, proving that this was not one bad night. It was a dangerous cycle. Multiple marriages collapsed, financial problems grew, and the former teen king reportedly lost his home. The man who once had fans screaming his name was now making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Apparently, even a Partridge Family bus could not outrun reality forever. Cassidy eventually admitted he was an alcoholic, but years of damage had already taken a heavy toll on his health, finances, and reputation. His downfall was painful because it happened in public, while the world compared the struggling man to the forever young star they remembered. Number 15. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye didn't just make music, he changed it forever. With timeless classics like What's Going On, Let's Get It On, and Sexual Healing, he became one of Motown's greatest voices, inspiring generations of artists. But while millions heard confidence and soul in his songs, Marvin was privately battling addiction, crushing financial problems, and emotional wounds that no standing ovation could heal. Despite earning millions, reckless spending and mounting debts forced him to leave the United States and seek refuge in Europe, hoping to escape the chaos consuming his life. Sadly, the greatest threat wasn't waiting in the music industry, it was waiting at home. Marvin's lifelong relationship with his strict father had been filled with anger, fear, and constant conflict. Those tensions finally reached a tragic breaking point on April 1st, 1984, just one day before Marvin's 45th birthday. A heated argument inside the family home ended with the unthinkable cutting short the life of one of music's greatest legends. Though his story ended in unimaginable heartbreak, Marvin Gaye's voice never faded. Number 16. Amanda Peterson. In the late 1980s, Amanda Peterson looked like she had won the Hollywood lottery. After starring opposite Patrick Dempsey in Can't Buy Me Love, she became America's sweetheart almost overnight. With her radiant smile and girl-next-door charm, producers saw limitless potential, and fans believed she was destined for decades of stardom. But sometimes, the brightest stars burn out the fastest. As Hollywood's spotlight faded, Amanda quietly stepped away from acting, hoping to build a peaceful life away from fame. Unfortunately, leaving Hollywood didn't mean leaving her struggles behind. Behind closed doors, Amanda fought a painful battle with addiction and mental health challenges that few people truly understood. The glamorous image everyone remembered slowly gave way to years of private hardship. Friends hoped she would eventually find her way back, but the fight became harder with every passing year. Then, in July 2015, just days before her 44th birthday, Amanda passed away from an accidental drug overdose. Number 17. Gary Coleman. Millions knew Gary Coleman as Arnold Jackson, the lovable scene stealer from Different Strokes. His famous catchphrase, "What you talkin' about, Willis?" became part of television history, and for a while Gary seemed untouchable. But behind the laughter was a financial nightmare that never seemed to end. Despite earning millions as one of television's biggest child stars, legal battles with his parents and former business managers left much of his fortune gone before he was old enough to truly enjoy it. Fame made him famous, but it didn't make him financially secure. As acting opportunities disappeared, Gary accepted whatever work he could find, from security jobs to political campaigns, simply trying to stay afloat. The contrast was almost unbelievable. One day, he was one of America's most recognizable faces, and the next he was struggling just to pay the bills. In 2010, tragedy struck when Gary suffered a fatal brain hemorrhage at only 42 years old. Number 18. Todd Bridges. Todd Bridges became a household name playing Willis Jackson on Different Strokes, standing alongside Gary Coleman as one of television's most beloved young stars. To audiences, he looked like he was living the dream. Off camera, however, Todd was fighting a nightmare that began while he was still a teenager. Addiction slowly took control of his life, leading to repeated arrests, legal trouble, and years of destructive choices that threatened to erase everything he had worked for. For a while, it seemed like another tragic child star story was writing its inevitable ending. But unlike so many others, Todd refused to let addiction write the final chapter. He committed himself to recovery, rebuilt his life one step at a time, and transformed his painful experiences into a message of hope. Today, he openly shares his journey to encourage others battling addiction and mental health struggles, proving that recovery is possible no matter how far someone has fallen. Todd also continues acting while inspiring audiences with his resilience. Number 19. Houston McTeer. Houston McTeer was once called the fastest human on Earth. As a teenage sprinting sensation, he tied the world record in the 100-yard dash, appeared on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and seemed destined for Olympic glory. Everything pointed toward superstardom until history slammed the brakes. When the United States boycotted the 1980 Moscow Olympics, Houston's lifelong dream disappeared overnight. One political decision erased the moment he had spent his entire life chasing. Crushed by disappointment, he drifted into drug addiction, and the champion, who once outran everyone, found himself unable to escape his own demons. For nearly 3 years, he lived homeless on Santa Monica Beach, relying on shelters and free meals just to survive. It was a heartbreaking fall for a man who had once been celebrated as America's next Olympic hero. But Houston refused to stay buried by his past. With help from compassionate strangers, he rebuilt his life, found love with former Swedish sprinter Linda Hägglund, and proved that true greatness isn't measured only by how fast you run. It's measured by your ability to keep moving forward after life knocks you flat. Number 20. Brett Butler. At the height of her career, Brett Butler had everything Hollywood promised. As the sharp-tongued star of Grace Under Fire, she was one of television's biggest names, earning award nominations, huge paychecks, and the admiration of millions. But behind the laughter was a secret battle with substance abuse that slowly began tearing her world apart. Rehab became a revolving door, productions grew more difficult, and the career that once seemed unstoppable suddenly stalled. After stepping away from Hollywood, Brett traded red carpets for a quiet farm in Georgia, hoping a simpler life would heal old wounds. For a while it worked until the money ran out. The actress who once headlined primetime television eventually found herself living in a homeless shelter, a shocking fall for someone who had once been among TV's highest-paid stars. Still, Brett refused to let that become her final chapter. She returned to stand-up comedy with the same razor-sharp wit that made audiences love her in the first place, proving that sometimes life gives you a brutal rewrite, but the best performers always know how to steal the next scene. Number 21. Willie Ames. Willie Ames once seemed to have the perfect Hollywood dream. Starring in 8 is Enough and later Charles in Charge, he was earning over $1 million a year while enjoying fame, fortune, and a devoted fan base. But success vanished faster than anyone expected. Bad financial decisions, career setbacks, and personal struggles snowballed until he lost nearly everything: his money, his marriage, and even his relationship with his child. One day he was a television star. The next he was searching for somewhere safe to sleep. Willie later admitted he spent nights under bushes in parking garages and on park benches, wondering how his life had unraveled so completely. It was a devastating reality check for a man who once lived like Hollywood royalty. Instead of giving up, he reinvented himself from the ground up. He worked as a wilderness guide, studied finance, earned professional licenses, and eventually became a financial advisor, a career that carried more than a little irony after losing his own fortune. Later, he even returned to acting and filmmaking,